Hello and welcome to the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Are you ready for some action? We clearly are. We're glad you're back. Welcome to Misano. This is the first race weekend. We are so excited to finally are back on track. Let's have a quick update what this is all about. We've got 15 season entries, race by race drivers, and they're competing in their 5-ton trucks on this beautiful track starting today with the qualifying and upcoming Super Pole. Who will be the first pole setter this season? And we want to see and check if there's an interview partner. Oh yes, there is. It's Managing Director from the ITRA. It's Georg Fuchs. Hello, good to see you back on track again.
Good to see you.
Misano, normally, of course, you see some MotoGPs here. Today, the beauty of the beast. It's the trucks are back on track. How excited are you?
Very excited. It's good to be back here in Misano. Actually, we're starting where we ended last year with beautiful weather, more spectators. So basically, we are back. We are back again. We are back as Goodyear FIA ETRC, which what we are very happy about. We are back with an innovation camp showing all kinds of sustainable technologies, a lot of innovations, and hopefully very good and exciting racing.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this interview. Very quick and spontaneous, as we are always here on track. Thank you very much, Georg Fuchs. And so, as you've heard, you've got a new title partner with Goodyear. And before race one, we will update you on that. Let's have a look back, as you already did, here at Misano, where we last year crowned the champion, Norbert Kish. He's competing in his newly painted MRN truck and with a new number with hashtag #1. Not also he is ready, but also the other contestants. And we do see the Promoters Cup, Shane Brereton trying to defend his title from last year. He will head up the grid with his new painted truck as well. So not only there have a beautiful new bodywork, all the other contestants and their teams, they worked so hard to getting everything right, getting everything on time, on point, and of course also working hard to get the best out of the engine. So it's time to take the great picture, the great grid photo. So let's have a look.
We are very glad to be back. I mean, we ended the season last year here in Misano. We are starting here in Misano with great weather. The atmosphere is good, the mood is good, so everybody is well prepared. But especially, we are starting into a new era with the Goodyear FIA ETRC, the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. We could really secure with our long-term partner Goodyear the title partnership, which is really good that such a prestigious and global brand is investing and believing into the truck racing.
Yeah, the winter break was going very quickly, and we are here like we never left because we finished last season in Misano, so it's a little bit interesting feeling to start the season where we finished it last year. But yeah, looking forward for the season. We prepared a lot. We fine-tuned the racetrack in quite a lot of parts, which we think is important, and I am definitely sure that we are faster than last year. So it should be interesting, and you know, obviously the aim is to keep winning and try to defend the championship title.
And so, and yesterday I had the opportunity to drive on the Pace truck together with Frank, and I saw some pylons filed up because the track is shortened on this direction, because there are some houses so close to the track, and I'm sure you don't want to have a 5-ton truck in your garden. Maybe not. But there was a strike in Italy. Some of the teams had problems in their traveling mood, and me as well. So the traveling took longer as we expected. But I hope Joachim Eberts and Chess Reichert, our both commentators, are back on their commentary positions in their booth. And I'm so glad that you're both here. Joachim Eberts, our German commentator, and Chess Reichert, our English commentator. Hey guys, how you doing?
Very, very good. Thank you, Christina. It is an absolute pleasure to be back for this season once again with the FIA, the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. With the new title partner this season, it is wonderful to see a great rebrand taking place for this incredible series. And look at the weather here in Misano. It is an absolutely amazing place to be. We've had a fantastic end of season meeting at the end of last year. It was a hell of a lot of fun, and it was my first time out actually visiting the championship in person. Unfortunately, this time I'm back here in the UK, but trust me, I do not mind. It's still fantastic to be on the job, but look at the tight and twisty circuit we have before us. 16 corners here at Misano. If you take in some of the longer curves that they have, a lot of the track maps you will see will tell you there's 16 anyway. We have 11 for our trucks because some of these guys, they don't like taking into consideration these long curves. If you see there on the left-hand side where Rio is, the 4th and 5th set of corners on this circuit, the long left curve down that back straight is apparently counted as a corner. But again, much like these guys, I disagree. As you can see, 27 degrees Celsius, though, at the moment. It is very, very hot over there. At the minute, I've been communicating with a number of the different sort of press officers and people involved in the championship there, and they've all been saying it is absolutely baking hot. There you see, though, the number 1 truck on the right-hand side of your screen. That is Norbert Kish of the Revesh Racing team. He wears that number 1 with pride this season, knowing that he is the number 1 after last year. 11 race wins, 14 podiums and 9 pole positions he took on his way to the title. It was an absolutely incredible achievement to take his 3rd championship in history. Not to downplay it, but that is half of the amount of titles that Jochen Hahn has. Where we get to see Jochen back on track this year is in the number 4 truck in the Team Hahn Racing Iveco. And a bit later on, we will discuss some of the team lineups where some of these trucks, they line up in 2 truck teams to have a go at a team's championship. Stefan Faas here we are on board with. He's doing a bit of a 3-point turn to get the Tank Pool 24 Racing Scania out towards the end of the pit lane. This is where they all line up, though, ready to get the first qualifying session of the season underway. Adam Lachko there just behind in the number 55 Freightliner. That's such an iconic shape. That beautiful front-engine, long-nosed machine. There's the number 14 truck just in front of us as well. It's good to have Jose Rodriguez back with us this season in the Rebo Connaught Racing Truck Team MAN. Jamie Anderson there in the number 33 machine as well. And Sasha Lenz, another driver wearing his finishing position from last season. Sasha wearing the number 2 this time out after just missing out on the title from Norbert Kish. He took 4 race wins himself, 11 podiums last season. He had a fantastic season in himself. Only 2 drivers, funnily enough, scored a pole position last season, and that was Jochen Hahn and Norbert Kish. But we're going to see who can get the first pole position of 2022 right now as the trucks make their way out onto the circuit for the first of 2 qualifying sessions this morning. They will have a qualifying to set the whole field, basically, and then we'll get the top 10 after that. But look at some of these amazing trucks, beautifully prepared ahead of the new season, looking as wonderful as ever. There's Jamie Anderson in that aforementioned number 33 Anderson Racing machine. Jamie had a bit of a tough season last season, but he still took 2 wins in what was the Goodyear Cup at the time, is now the Promoters Cup, after Goodyear have taken the title sponsorship of the entire season. And they brought a lot of stuff with it as well, have Goodyear. It's fantastic to see. If you do attend any of the events this year, you will see the Goodyear Innovation Camp and the Circular Economy Centre. It's a fantastic, fantastic place to be. It's part of the roadmap towards sustainable racing that the ETRA is continuing to follow. There's even a process which involves the retreading of the race tyres to be used on road trucks. How cool is that? So a lot of the tyres that you will see get used over a race weekend here, Goodyear will take them from the teams, retread them and repurpose them to be then used on road trucks all around the world. It's another step towards making it a sustainable racing format and, of course, towards going in the direction of net zero in terms of the carbon from the series. A lot of flies here at Misano, as you already see from the front of Sasha Lenz's truck. But he roars his way up towards what would be turns 9 and 10, Curva Tramonto at the top end of the circuit here. It's very, very difficult to get this bit right, really, because it's a bit of a right kink while you're braking into a very, very tight braking zone. Now, the circuit is actually shortened here. So as they get down towards the end of the lap, you'll see the cones across the surface there. So they will actually turn a bit earlier. I must admit, when I did say 16 corners before, there are a few less of them right now because we have turn 12, which is this right kink that we're going through here. And then we're going to go hard onto the brakes into turns 13 and 14, a long right-hander, which then tightens into a hairpin. And then we get the final couple of corners at the very end of the lap. You can see, though, everybody just taking their time at the moment, just getting used to the track surface, used to the high temperatures as well, which will greet them very, very suddenly if they try to take any liberties in the final corners. Look at these wonderful drone shots we've got as well this year. There's a lot more coming your way in terms of our graphics package and, of course, our camera angles as well. The guys behind the scenes have put in a hell of a lot of work over the winter to continually improve the product that we can give you in the form of these broadcasts. Green flag waved then across the line, and the trucks make their way into turn 1. That is Andrei Kurzen in the number 11 machine, the Don't Touch Racing Iveco. He isn't teamed up with anybody this season, so he's a one-man band, but he's doing a fantastic job as ever. Last season, he had a very, very interesting championship that Andrei Kurzen took 3 overall race wins, one of which came at Most after some contact with Norbert Kish in the closing stages. But Andrei definitely one to watch for this season. Stefan Faas then making his way around the first chicane, doing a great job of it as well, because look at the way you can see the truck wobbling around, oversteering, trying to kick the back end out. Obviously not much weight over the rear end of these trucks. They're over 5 tons in total, but over 3 tons of that needs to be over the front axle. It's pretty incredible. There's the bright 66 machine of Anthony Janiak, the Lion Truck Racing MAN. He finished last season in 10th place overall, 33 points to his name. No race wins, no podiums or poles, but still a very consistent campaign. I don't think he did every race last year either. There were a number of them, I think, where he wasn't quite able to get the truck out and race with us. I'm just checking it now. Yeah, he wasn't there for Zol or Le Mans, actually. He did Harama, Misano, and Most, and he missed the season opener at Hungary. So for only half of a season, to still finish in the top 10 in the championship is very impressive. Here's Stefan Faas making his way around turn 10. Look at the way these things accelerate. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Even now, after a year of commentating on this championship, I still find it amazing the way that these trucks accelerate out of corners. Over 5,000 Newton meters of torque in these trucks. Incredible figures behind the racing that goes on here. There's Jamie Anderson piling his way through the kinks at turns 11 and 12. Bit of dust kicked up there on the start-finish straight. But everybody just circulating at the moment just to get their first laps on the board, get a banker lap. Stefan Faas has really caught up to the back of Jose Rodriguez here in the number 14 machine. That is the Rebo Connaught Racing Team truck. And there you see 202.290. Norbert Kish, fastest at the moment from Jochen Hahn, 4 tenths back. Antonio Alberthetti is next up. Look at the run that Stefan Faas gets there in the Tank Pool 24 racing truck. It's a new Scania for this season. Also, we have Clemens Hecker on track this weekend in the number 25 truck. As a bit close there by Stefan. I love the livery on the Tank Pool 24 machine, though. It looks absolutely awesome. A really striking black and red livery. And Jose Rodriguez has moved over to one side at the moment to make sure that he does not get in the way. And we have the first truck actually having a lap time cancelled for contact with what we call penalty markers. Christina mentioned them earlier on, basically to enforce track limits a little bit more around these circuits and to maybe protect the curbs a little bit. You might see them just on the right of your shot there. Steffi Helm getting a bit close to them, but they have these big bollards, really tall bollards on the edges of some of the curbs around this track and around all the tracks that we'll go to. And basically any contact with those, it's a black and white way of knowing that you've exceeded track limits, basically. So they will get knocked over, they'll fly away in whatever direction, and whatever lap times you have will get cancelled. And drivers will then, there's one of them now on the inside, the drivers will then obviously get warnings for that during the race and over the course of the weekend. So it's a really good way to enforce track limits. And obviously these trucks, they're big, heavy things. You know, they're not going to get damaged by hitting a bollard like that. It just enforces it in a little bit more of a physical way for the drivers, so they know exactly where the limits are as well. So this is a bit normal right now, what you're seeing. The drivers all of a sudden seem to be going a lot slower, don't they? They will put a fast lap in, and then they will slow down on the following lap just to get the temperature back into the brakes, or at least to make sure that they don't have them running a bit too hot, make sure the tyres aren't worn out, and then they will all make sure they've got enough room, wait for a bit of clear space on track, and then get going again. Stefan Faas currently 13th, but you could argue that he was held up by Rodriguez on his lap. So he's going to hope to improve on this second circulation around. Still 12.5 minutes left of the session to go, so there's lots more time. And I did mention that one of the trucks got a lap time cancel. It was the number 14 of Jose Rodriguez. And Anthony Janiek was under investigation for track limits as well, but there is no further action to be taken on that. Just in front of Stefan Faas is the number 17 truck of Shane Brereton, British driver, reigning what would be the Goodyear Cup champion, but of course it's now the Promoters Cup, which is for the Chrome rated drivers. That is another regulation to get into. So we have two classifications of drivers, basically dependent on their experience and their sort of qualifications within the championship in previous history. We have Titan class drivers, which, if you will, are Class A, and then Chrome drivers, which are, if you will, Class B. Chrome drivers are the ones eligible to go for the Promoters Cup. So it's like a sort of second championship within a championship. Teo Calve in 10th position is currently the fastest in that class from Jamie Anderson and Shane Brereton. About a second separates the three of them. Teo Calve coming very close to winning that championship last season with a fantastic fight with Shane Brereton. Unfortunately, though, there was contact in the final race of the year for Teo Calve, and that pretty much took him out of contention. Here's Sasha Lenz, or there was Sasha Lenz in the pit lane. Now we have Stefan Faas and Shane Brereton. Stefan's really having trouble with traffic on this sort of set of laps, isn't he, actually? You could see there Shane Brereton just sat in front of him on the exit, trying to get a good run down the hill. There is a bit of a hill here at Misano. It seems a bit strange to say because it looks very flat from the cameras, but there is a little bit of a decline as you go down there. Looking at Stefan Faas's history, actually, this is his 5th year in the championship. He raced in the FIA ETRC in 2017 and 2018, and then he's been back with us since 2020. Of course, a championship affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, but he did a full campaign last season as well. So this is his 5th year in the championship. He was recently, I say recently, he was previously the KTM Crossbow champion in Germany in 2016 and 17. So to go from a KTM Crossbow to a truck is quite the transition, is it not? Right behind Shane Brereton right now, though. And again, he might get slightly held up here because this Scania is looking quick from Stefan Faas. He had a few issues with it last season, and they were still developing it quite early on in the championship, but it's looked good so far. He and Clemens Hecker are the only two drivers racing in Scanias this season. The rest are either Ivicos, MANs, or the two Freightliners, the very iconic Freightliners of Bagheera ZM Racing. There is the number 1 of Thomas Robineau, the French driver, joining us on a race-by-race basis. For now, he's just confirmed for this first Italian round of the season. He's done 4 seasons in the French Truck Racing Championship and was in the top 3 in each of those championships, only finishing second to Teo Calve last time out, who is the reigning French Truck Racing champion. Oh, now there is one of those penalty markers getting absolutely destroyed by Stefan Faas. That will mean that his lap time will probably not count. Wow, you can see the back end of the truck step out there, and there we get an onboard view of it as well. Just on the brakes, locking up those rears, it tries to kick the back end out where the weight is, well, definitely not there. And then back out on the power. They go down the hill towards the fast kink of turn 11. There is Sasha Lenz just waiting in the pit lane. Now, a number of these drivers higher up the order, you can see them on the timing tower there on the left. They'll be a lot happier with their times. You know, they will be really, really happy with the initial lap time they've done. They'll be confident that that's enough to get them through into the Super Pole session, which only includes the top 10 trucks. So there's a few of them that are slightly on the brink there, actually. Anthony Janiak is still out there, I believe. Teo Calve, there he is, in the number 20 Freightliner. He's still out there trying to put laps in. But Rene Reiner, well, he's actually in the pits in the number 77 machine, so he's clearly confident that he's not going to get beaten by anybody else. But I'd be worried that it'd be on the brink there. Look at how fast these things go in a straight line. They are governed to 100 miles an hour. They are limited for on safety grounds, of course, but the drivers can get a bit of a slap on the wrists for overspeeding as well. So if they do go over that 100 mile an hour, then they will get a slight telling off, to say the least. Now, Stefan Faas, unsurprisingly here, moving past Shane Brereton. Not at full race pace, but he's making sure that he's ahead of Shane in the queue. Stefan currently in 12th and not on his way through into Superpole. Shane Brereton just behind him in 13th position at the moment is 3.1 seconds off the fastest time, which, as expected, is Norbert Kish ahead of Jochen Hahn and Antonio Alberthetti. Antonio has a wonderful history. I was looking through a lot of Antonio's notes and so on through the winter break just to really get clued up on it, because last season, admittedly, I didn't quite know how much Antonio had done. It was actually a real pleasure recently. I was out at Jarama in Spain, where we'll be later in the season. I was commentating on a completely different championship, and I ended up at Jarama, and walking through the paddock, I actually bumped into Antonio. He was watching he was helping and obviously coaching his son, who was racing in the Copa Saxo 8-valve championship over in Spain. And there were 72 Saxos at Jarama. Can you imagine that? But it was great to see Antonio. He's a really lovely guy. It was fantastic to have a chat with him. He was very enthusiastic, really looking forward to the season ahead. And he and the T-Sport Banau team have been absolutely just smashing it, to be honest with you. Absolutely smashing it. They received an award recently as well. I'm going to have a quick look at this as well while I'm here on air, because they got, I can't remember the exact name of it, if I'm honest with you, and I should know it, but I will get back to you on that. But they won an award basically for the fantastic work they do in terms of sustainable motorsport. It's an amazing award for them to have won, and they've done an amazing job to get it. And you know, they're one of my favourite teams to see in the paddock. A really, really good bunch, and they're all based here in the UK as well. Actually, all based here in the UK. There is Jamie Anderson.
So, Chaz, thank you. We're here at Sasha Lenz, waiting for the Super Pole, ranked 4th. Just waiting time to cool down the machine. So, what is your plan?
Es ist sehr, sehr warm hier draußen. Wir haben mega Probleme mit unserem Motor. Wir fahren ja dieses Jahr nach Lambda-Regelung. Das funktioniert alles noch nicht so wirklich gut. Die ersten 2 freie Trainings waren eine Katastrophe für mich selber auch. Jetzt Qualifying fängt so langsam an, dass wieder langsam kommt. Vielleicht habe ich auch über den Winter ein Fahren verlernt oder so, ich kann es noch nicht sagen. Aber ja, wir versuchen jetzt alles und dann gucken wir, wo wir nachher rauskommen.
So it was really good insight. Sasha Lenz gave me just a quick roundup. So he's got massive problems during this qualification and ahead of practicing, because it's really warm, and they've got some problems with the motors of the engines because of the temperatures. They're trying to fix that, but he says he's confident that they're getting into racing back again, actually ranked 4th right now and waiting to get a better position at Superpole. And he said maybe over the winter I forgot how to drive a truck. I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure he's really in a good mood.
Well, thank you very much, Christina. And yeah, well, I imagine for these drivers, it's like riding a bike. You never forget how to drive a truck, but I suppose Sasha Lenz, he needs to get the excuse book out early, doesn't he? But he's very right, though. The temperatures here will really affect these trucks quite a lot. You know, we will often see over the course of the season a lot of steam and spray coming off the front of the trucks as they cool the brakes. They have water-cooled brakes in this championship, and if you've never seen it before, trust me, it's a very strange sight to see all of this liquid and so on pouring out of the front of the trucks. But yeah, the temperatures are very, very important in these things. They get very, very sensitive to the temperatures, I should say. Here's Stefan Faas, you can see using all of the curb there to try and make sure he opens up the entrance to the final corner, what would be turn 16 on this circuit. And there was Theo Calvé, reigning French truck racing champion. I bumped into him as well, actually, at Nogaro at the start of the season when I was commentating on, again, another championship out in France. And Theo was saying that he is not racing in the French Truck Racing Championship this season. He's giving the European Series a full series of commitment, a full season of commitment, I should say. And he's hoping to take that Promoters' Cup crown. Like I say, he got so close, bringing it down to the final race of the season last year with Shane Brayton. And I really hope for Theo that he can bring the fight just as much as he did last year. He was incredibly exciting to watch. He actually took an overall race win as well at Harama. It was a phenomenal performance. It was great to watch. Unfortunately, I wasn't commentating at the time. It was my friend Jack Werrell commentating. I believe we may have an interview again with Christina.
Andre Kurzen. He had the door open, so we sneaked in, and it's a lot of heat coming out of this truck. Oh boy, it's really hot in here, but it's getting hotter on the track. How satisfied are you with the first rounds? How is it going?
Yeah, I think we had last year the last race was terrible for us here. We had a very bad weekend, and yes, now we are in the qualifying on position 6, and yes, I think we can do it in the Super Bowl again.
Thank you very much. So he's waiting clearly for the Super Bowl, and yes, we remember that last year at Misano was not that perfect for him, but even now a better start.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Christina. Always wonderful to hear from Christina and, of course, to see all of our drivers and what they think. But yeah, it was an absolute nightmare, to say the least, for Andre Kurzen last year. He retired in the first race of the season at the Hungaroring, and then again, he didn't retire until we got to the finale at Misano. But his 4 races last year were a nightmare for him. He retired from the first race. Whatever problem he had, he didn't start the second race. He then retired from the third race and finished 13th in the 4th race. So he scored absolutely 0 points at Misano last year. He went into the final race meeting on 93 points and he left it on 93 points. I believe he even lost a place in the championship to Steffi Halm right at the death as well. But he's going to be hoping for more this time round. Currently finds himself in 6th position, right in the hunt to get into Super Bowl. And look at this now, Stefan Faas pushing hard in the number 24 Scania, really trying everything he can to get into this Super Bowl session. Onboard camera from Stefan Faas, flying down towards turn 8, Curva Quercia. Very, very difficult. There's a lot of camber that sort of leans on the inside of the corner and then it suddenly flattens out and then you find yourself going uphill. You'll see a lot of the back ends of these trucks being kicked out there as they floor the throttle to just power that traction down into the ground. You can see more of them here still circulating, trying to get a lap in. That's Shane Brayton having to dive down the inside of Jamie Anderson, and that just behind them there as well is Jose Rodriguez, the Portuguese driver in the number 14. Jamie Anderson stays over to one side, goes around the penalty markers. I suppose you can't get told off for hitting them if you go around them. I like that. Rene Reiner crosses the line, then he completes the session. He finds himself in 10th place. He's right on the brink right now. Right on the brink. So if anybody improves enough, then he could find himself losing a spot. Jamie Anderson would have only needed to improve by about 2/10 to beat Rene, but he has given up on his lap. Stefan Faas is going to need to find about a second here, but he is really pushing, and you can see there the back end of the truck kicks out as he goes around turn 14. Through 15, the left-hander again, the back end sticks out. Looks like he might have clipped that penalty marker as well, using all of the curb on the right-hand side. Tucks it in. You can feel the understeer, can't you, from these absolute Goliath machines. Hard on the power he goes, and across the line, straightens it up nice and early. Does Stefan Faas improve? Does not look like it. 2.94 seconds off. His last lap was... It was a 2:06.9. And his best was a 2:05.2. So unfortunately, Stefan Faas does not make it through into the Super Pole session. Checkered flag is waved, and we wait to see if anybody else makes it around to improve on their lap. René Reiner obviously crossed the line when the session had finished. Theo Calve had done so as well. Clemens Hecker does not improve. So it looks like that is going to be that. There's a number of them in the second sector that have slowed down. So we have our top 10 then, which will make it through into Super Pole. Pole position provisionally goes the way of Norbert Kish. And there you go. There are your top 10 highlighted on the left-hand side of your screen. Norbert Kish, Jochen Hahn, Antonio Albertetti, Sascha Lenz, Adam Lachko. He's always in P5, is Adam, with the number 55 truck. It's very apt. Then we have Andre Kurzen in 6th, Steffi Halm in 7th, ahead of Anthony Janiak. Theo Calve getting through ahead of René Reiner, who just about clung on there in 10th place, but he had the confidence to bring the truck in early on in the session. And then that was it. So those 10 trucks in just a few minutes will go back out, and they will then take part in what will be the Super Pole session, the very first Super Pole session of the season. As you can see there, a lot of liquid being flung out of Stefan Faas' truck. Now that is clearly not to plan. Not sure if that is something that was meant to be cooling the brakes at the back of the truck, but usually it's the front that they cool down. But that is a hell of a liquid leak, that. Now it looks like he's just dragging the truck back around, obviously not at full pace. We go back down to Christina, though, who's got somebody for an interview.
Yes, Steffi Halm in the Super Pole competing. First race, Misano. How happy are you with the first round?
Yeah, I'm very happy to be back and that the season starts. Hopefully now we have a good Super Pole. I hope I solved my tires, and then we will see what happens for the race.
Okay, thank you very much. Saving the tires, that's a good motto. So we close the door. Steffi Halm, let's stay here and have a look how Steffi Halm is entering the Super Pole with all the other contestants. Cheers.
Yes, indeed, and the tyres are so important because they don't have very long between these two sessions, so they don't get a chance to change their tyres at all. They just come into the pits, get a quick once-over and a quick check by the team just to make sure everything is as intended, and then they send them straight back out. So you will not get a tyre change, they don't refuel or anything like that. One thing that we saw a couple of times last season, actually, was the teams would come in with obviously the tanks full of water to cool the brakes that they would spray onto the brakes, and then they would let a lot of the water out because obviously it's dead weight at that point. They would let a lot of the water out in the pit lane just to make sure that the truck was in any way possible that little bit lighter. Now look at the front of Norbert Kish's truck. He's got this honeycomb sort of cutout pattern on the front of it, and it looks fantastic for it, but it's really helped them aerodynamically throughout the time that they've had it. I think they brought it last time halfway through the season, and it made a massive improvement. No other team seems to have followed it at the moment, but you can see two of the MANs behind him, the number 23 of Antonio Albertetti and the number 2, which we jump on board here with, is Sascha Lenz, and they do not have any sort of similar cutouts on it. They very much have a similar sort of shape to what the manufacturer has on the normal trucks. There you can see the fans. They're on the rooftop terrace here at Misano. It's a fantastic place to stand. It's an easy place to get a tan as well, to be honest with you. It's very hot up there. There's no shade whatsoever. And to be honest, Misano is one of those circuits where there isn't much shade at all. You have to just run for cover if you think you're getting sunburned. There's Stefan Faas on his way back into the pit lane. And the 10-minute Super Pole session has begun. Norbert Kish makes his way out. Jochen Hahn next up, then Antonio Albertetti. Sascha Lenz in the number 2. And the SL Truck Sport 30 machine. Then it's Adam Lachko, Andre Kurzen, Steffi Halm, Anthony Janiak in the number 66. A very bright yellow Lion Truck Racing machine with the Frenchman at the wheel. And now again, you will see they'll just do a bit of a slow installation lap, like an out lap, just to make sure that they get everything to the right temperatures, work on the brakes, work on the tyres. And then they will get the truck back up to full running order. Now, while they're doing this, I think it's worth mentioning the Teams Championship, which we have here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. So not only do the drivers have sort of their own team as such, you know, for example, Norbert Kish is part of Reve's racing team, Sascha Lenz, SL Truck Sport 30, Jochen Hahn is Team Hahn Racing. They have their own teams that work on just their trucks. You know, there's not many teams out there with more than one truck. Maybe Bagheera ZM Racing, the only example where there is more than one truck. However, some of them team up together and come together as one for the Teams Championship. So, for example, the reigning champions, I believe they were called Team Titan last year, Norbert Kish and Antonio Albacete. That is Reve's Racing Team and T-Sport Banau. They're known this season as Reve's and T-Sport, and those two will be going for the Teams Championship against teams like Sascha Lenz and Shane Brereton, who have come together to form Lowen Power, the great British driver and the German driver as well, both in their MANs, trucks 2 and 17, coming together for that. Another outfit that has come together for this one is Die Bullen von of Iveco, which were together last season, Jochen Hahn and Steffi Halm, trucks 4 and 44. Very fittingly, the two German drivers will go together again this time round. And of course, the aforementioned Bagheera ZM Racing Freightliners of Teo Calve and Adam Lachko. They are the fourth and final team to try and take the Team Racing Championship crown. But look at this again, a gorgeous, gorgeous sight of all the trucks using this shortened version of the end of the lap here at Misano. You can see just how tight it is, but it just means that there is that extra bit of runoff. And I mean, Christina mentioned it earlier, there is a lot of housing actually on the outside of this circuit. So for safety grounds, it is better that we have them just taking this slightly shorter hairpin here. But the drone shot, I'm absolutely loving that already this season. I was speaking to some of the guys ahead of the championship as we discussed the fact that we would have drone shots potentially as part of the live broadcast, and it's great to see that they've made that work. I absolutely love it. So green flag waved, they're across the line then to start their flying laps for the first time here in Superpole. You probably won't see them come into the pits actually during this session. They will maybe just do their fast lap, go straight around and then come straight back in again. Sorry, straight back on into a fast lap, I should say. They all make their way across the line there. There's Rene Reiner just crossing the line right now. I think the one just behind him will be Teo Calve. Teo was one of the last ones out back onto the track. There is the Iveco of Rene Reiner, a formerly Jochen Hahn or Team Hahn Racing built Iveco is that truck. So it's certainly a fast machine. And there is Jochen Hahn's Team Hahn Racing Iveco, the number 4 machine. He was running number 1 last season, obviously after being reigning champion. Again, just clipping that marker the tiniest bit. It was millimetre perfect, wasn't it, by Jochen Hahn. An unbelievable history for Jochen Hahn in this championship. He's got 614 race starts, 258 podiums and 114 race wins to his name. It's incredible. The 47-year-old is a 6-time champion in the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. He's an absolute star of it. He was the champion in 2011, 12, 13, 16, 18, and 19. And last season was the first time in 10 years that he hasn't finished in the top 3 of the championship. So it's his worst season result for 10 years. It's quite incredible, isn't it? He's going to be hoping to turn that around for this season. And there is the man in front of him that he's just going to be chasing in these opening stages. That is Norbert Kish. He has come out of the gates completely on fire, hasn't he, is Norbert Kish. Great lap in that first session, a 2:02. Certainly not an easy time to obtain around here. He goes across the line. What time does he do? A 2:02.8, 2:02.9 by Jochen Hahn. Only 51 thousandths of a second between the two of them. Antonio Albacete is about 0.47 of a second off with a 2:03.3. Next is Sascha Lenz. He goes 1.2 seconds off. Lachko goes up to 4th. He's 0.6 off. Let's see the rest of the times come on to the board. Andre Kurzen goes 6th fastest at the moment. And here they are, look, slowing down after doing a fast lap. They really do just go for one very fast lap, don't they? Anthony Janiak moves up to 5th place with a 2:04.089. So he goes next up. Here is Teo Calve making his way down now into turn 13. This right kink just here. Then he's going to get on the brakes. Hard on the brakes, down through the gears. And there you go then. Norbert Kish leads Jochen Hahn on the track and on the timing screens. Not much between them, though, considering that it's nearly 2 minutes a lap. And considering how lively these trucks are, to have 51 thousandths of a second between you is incredible. Shows you just how competitive and how close this championship is. But we have just 4 minutes of the session left to go. And everybody will know that they've only got really one more chance to get a lap time on the board. There is Steffi Halm in the number 44, half of the Die Bullen von Iveco team this season. Her own team is Team Schwabentruck. Steffi, another driver with a lot of history in this championship, actually. She's got 250 race starts, actually. The last race of last season was her 250th start. She's been in the championship. This is her 12th year, and she got a maiden race win at Hungary in 2015. Before she turned to truck racing, she used to race in GT cars and touring cars as well. So another driver that has come from a different discipline into this sort of championship. There's Norbert Kish wearing the number 1 with pride this season. 3-time champion now is Norbert Kish. He won it in 2014 and then the unbelievable utter dominance of 2015, winning 19 races that year. We've not seen anything like that before. And then, of course, his 2021 champion as well. This is Sascha Lenz in the number 2 machine. His 10th year in the FIA European Truck Racing Championship for Sascha Lenz. He's hoping that this will be the year where he gets his title. He's got T6 podiums, 9 race wins to his name. He could get that 10th race win this weekend. You never know, do you? Apologies about that there. I think it was dropped out for a second. And that one, Norbert Kish now still fastest though. 2:02.859 is a great lap for him. Again, Jochen Hahn only just missing out on beating him. There is Sascha Lenz down the inside. You can see Norbert Kish actually moving over to one side there near the end of the session. Is he going to line up to have another go here? He runs very wide through the left-hander at turn 15. Be interested to see whether he does go for another lap. I think he might have brought it into the pits, you know. No, he's going for another lap. Is that him in the background? It is, yes. The number 1 machine does continue on. So Norbert Kish is going for another fast lap then at the end of the session to try and improve. No improvement from that previous lap by anybody by the look of it. Well, I'd say that actually. Adam Lachko improved. A 2:03.501 puts him 4th. Albersetti improved as well, actually. He was up there, but only by a couple of tenths of a second. He didn't improve by a massive amount. And now we see Norbert Kish, reigning champion, provisionally on pole. He's actually slowed it down there, though, by the look of it. Doesn't look like he's going to continue on for a fast lap. It looks like Adam Lachko's the same as well. So at the moment, it's all down to Jochen Hahn to go for it. Jochen's gone pretty quick in the first sector, but it's about 0.6 off the fastest time we've seen through there. Everybody now just creeping back round into the pit lane. Waiting to see what the time is from Jochen Hahn. He's gone through the second sector, but it's not an improvement by the look of it. He has the fastest time in the second sector, but that was a 47.6, and it looks like Jochen Hahn has backed out of it. So for now, I'm pretty confident that Norbert Kish will be on pole position then as the session comes to a close. René Reiner dropped down to 9th place. Kurzen dropped down to 10th in the end, actually. Theo Calve went 8th. He's the only Chrome-rated driver in the session. Here goes Sascha Lenz to the line, though. What can he do to improve? Not enough by the look of it. A 204.592 for Sascha Lenz's best was a 204.1. So unfortunately, he does not get higher up the order. 6th place. It's going to be quite the challenge for Sascha Lenz. And there is the checkered flag. Jochen Hahn just completes the session, at least by crossing the line once more. Antonio Albacete is going to do the same in the number 23 T-Sport Banau MAN. And back on board with Sascha Lenz we go down the back straight here. As you can see, everybody else filtering their way back into the pit lane. And they will prepare for the first race of the day, which will take place in a couple of hours' time, actually. Local time as well. Will be about 2:30 in the afternoon. And then the second race of the day will take place at 25 to 5 this afternoon. There is Norbert Kish peeling into the pit lane. You can see just making it through the garage there. It's incredible to think that these trucks actually do fit in the garages here at Misano. You can see that it is on a bit of an incline. You can see that it's not a perfectly flat surface there. Andre Kurzen makes his way into the pit lane and will turn left at the end of the pit lane there to move down behind the paddock. And Andre Kurzen actually had one of his lap times cancelled for hitting one of the penalty markers near the end of the session there. That might explain why he backed out and why he then didn't improve. But Theo Calve in the Promoters Corp, he'll be really happy to be starting from 8th position on the grid. His nearest rival will be Jamie Anderson, who's going to start 11th. Stefan Faas is going to start 12th. So to have a couple of trucks between yourself and your own sort of subcategory rivals is very, very important. Very important indeed for drivers like Theo. I mean, we know Theo is easily fast enough to win the championship. He didn't race with us a couple of times last season because he was basically taking part in the French championship instead and focusing on getting the result there, which he did in the end. In the same week where he completed a lot of his main exams, and I believe it was work for university or at least qualifications in university, he then went and won the French Truck Racing Championship as well. It was a hell of a week. There is that rooftop terrace at Misano, a wonderful, wonderful place to be. You can see the heat as well. I mean, you can tell how hot it is up there. As we saw earlier, it was about 27 degrees. And here they are just making their way now back into the pit lane. Or into the paddock, at least. It's a huge paddock here at Misano. And it's a great place to have these trucks because there's a lot of room to accommodate for them. And you think you've seen big awnings and big trucks until you've seen this paddock. Sasha Lenz just making his way into the awning now then. He'll do a bit of a 3-point turn to get it in there. You can see spare bumpers and all sorts there for Andrei Kurzen's team. Part of the Don't Touch Racing team. And there's another beautiful shot of our paddock. You can see the size of it. And of course, the show trucks as well in the middle of the paddock there. Incredible amount of people turning out for these events. It's great to see. I mean, last season at the end of the championship, we had a lot of people turn out as well. There was an amazing truck show in the evening when we were hoping that the memory of COVID was very much a gone thing. And it certainly does still feel that way now. It's great because we can get back to these events. Look at the beautiful scenery here, though, at Misano. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous circuit. It's very well located as well on the east coast of Italy. And even if you haven't visited before, I do urge you to go and do so. There is the coast as well. There you go. That's the benefits of having the drone there. Thank you very much to the drone pilot that shows us just how close to the beach you are here at Misano. There's some great nightlife down that part as well, and that was even during COVID times. You can see right near the motorway as well, this circuit. It's very easy to get to. And someone that we're going to go and get to now is Christina, who's back down there before us.
Yes, you said we are close to the beach. I don't know, because Chaz, we're here right at the paddock. Let's have a quick look around. Do you see the fans over here? They're all back. This is the best thing that we can see today. Look at this. It's a great atmosphere here at Misano, and everybody is such in a good mood. And we see the new title partner here, Goodyear, over here, the Innovation Camp. Well, we have a closer look during this race weekend, of course. And now we are waiting for the reigning champion, Norbert Kish, still in the scrutineering box. And let's have a look if he just made the door open. No doors. Yeah, there he comes. That's live broadcasting. We're waiting for Norbert Kish. Come on, Mike. Let's grab him for an interview, our reigning champion. And this is the first qualification here at Misano, and also the fastest driver in this pole session, Norbert Kish. Welcome. Welcome back, our champion. You said you were going to be faster and faster, and yes, you did during this first session. How was it?
It was difficult because the conditions are very, very different compared to last year in end of October when we were here. It was almost winter, and now it's summer. It's very hot, and yeah, the grip is not really there, you know. So it's a little bit of a struggle for the tires as well, and for the engine as well, and for the driver as well. But you know, I tried to make the best I could, so it's just a small margin. But yeah, we are on the first position, so that's good.
How's the track? I mean, I saw some cones. There's a really never right curve at the end of the track because you don't want to go to the gardens of the houses over there, of course. But how was it driving there?
Yeah, I mean, this is a nice circuit. We really like it. Obviously, we have the penalty markers, which is very, very strict. You know, I see some GT races here, and you know, they are all over the place. You know, and they can do that. But we are not allowed, you know, we can basically barely can touch the curbs. So they are very, very strict on us. But yeah, you know, okay, it's still a nice circuit, and yeah, happy to be here.
Thank you very much. We're happy to see you back again, Norbert Kish. And of course, those penalty markers are this is very strict reglement because they are driving in the 5-ton trucks, and we imagine them going off on the grid into the gravel. That's a disaster. So this is for sure to keep the safety up, of course, and great thanks to all the marshals back on track, of course, for the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship as well. Chaz, final words from you, please.
That was a hell of a lot of fun, actually. Fantastic to see everybody back out on circuit once again and pushing hard. But it does show you, really, that time flies when you're having fun, especially here at Misano in the wonderful weather we've got. Here's a quick look then at how the session ended up. Jochen Hahn did improve at the end there with a 2:02.9, apparently. It seems like Norbert Kish's time may be kicked out from that one, but Jochen Hahn at the top of the pile from Norbert Kish. Antonio Alberthetti next up. Then it's Adam Lachko, Steffi Halm, and Sasha Lenz. René Reiner in 7th, ahead of Anthony Janiak, Jamie Anderson, and Theo Calve, rounding out your top 10. So Jochen Hahn will be a very happy man, as he looks in that picture there, to be honest. So I'm sure he will be looking forward and definitely not checking his mirrors for Norbert in the opening sections of the race. Andre Kurzen, truck 11P11, ahead of Jose Rodriguez, Shane Brayton and Thomas Robineau, with Stefan Faas and Clemens Hecker rounding out our 16 truck grid this afternoon. It's going to be great to see them all finally get underway once more. But back to you, Christina.
So we do have the lineup for the Misano World Circuit Race 1. And we want to see you back then for a race 1. Oh, this is a huge flag. Look at this. Team Reves, a fan, obviously. You see all the fans here back in the paddock. And now it's time for them to catch some autographs and time for you to catch a little break before we see us again later on. So we are really glad to have you all back in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Still a lot more action to come this weekend.